Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ladies Room Talk Show. I'm Clarissa Kenty, your Kingdom Concierge. Happy Monday, everyone. Yes, I am so excited today, guys. Listen, I had an opportunity to minister at my church yesterday morning at Empowerment Word Church. Our pastor is Pastor Sean Edwards and his wife, Lady Gwen Edwards. And I had an opportunity to bring the word yesterday, and I'm excited for the opportunity, of course, but my family was there. And that really made me feel good. I have one son that relocated to North Carolina. He came in and just the whole family was there. And I really, truly had an amazing time. And I want to thank Pastor Sean for allowing me that opportunity to stand before him on his show. So it was really, really good. I had a great time. So I want to make sure that we are tuning in, guys, because listen, today I'm coming on a little bit earlier. So this is a joke. So I was supposed to be pre-recording this and I ended up going live by mistake. So it's a live show and we'll just re-show it tonight at 7 as well. Y'all pray for me. Oh my goodness. But listen, it's going to be a great show and I'm excited about my guests coming in today. But before I get started, I want to make sure that you are sharing this post. Share it. Happy Monday, guys. Some of you are coming in and like, what is the ladies room doing on today? Yeah, it's early. I'm going out of town tonight, so I'm broadcasting it early today, but we'll certainly show it again tonight at 7 o'clock as well. So share the broadcast. Let everyone know that the Ladies Room Talk Show is live and we're on now at a very odd time, but yet we're on. Hey, Carlene, how's it going? Good. Happy Monday. So I want to say a big shout out to my guest on last week, Miss Lorraine Trammell. Miss Lorraine, let me tell you, a beautiful, beautiful woman. I had a wonderful testimony about the things that she experienced with her son's illness with bipolar, and of course, then with his passing. And she just really had a good show talking about mental illness and mental health. Really good show. If you missed that on last week, make sure that you go back, listen to that show, and reach out to her, guys. She has a good book that's out that's helping a lot of people who are dealing with some of those same things and traumatic things that people are experiencing in their lives. That book that she wrote is good. You want to make sure you grab a copy of that. So if you missed the show, I'm not going to tell you all about it now. You just need to go back and look at the show, right? So go out there to the Ladies Room, Ladiez, the Ladies Room Talk Show. Go out there to that Facebook page and hit like, follow, and then grab that feed and take a look at what Miss Lorraine had to share on that day. Happy Monday, Michael. Thanks for joining me here this morning. All right, guys, listen, we're talking about a good topic this morning. Today, we're talking about insurance. And what I have found is that as I'm kind of listening to some things that's going on currently around, and unfortunately some untimely deaths that are taking place, I'm noticing that these young people in their 20s, mid-20s, late 20s, early 30s don't have insurance. And so what's happening is that it's putting their families in a horrific position because now they're having to scramble to get the funds in order to provide a proper burial. And so that's very disheartening to learn and to hear. And so I'm so glad that I have a gentleman here today. I have a broker here today that's going to be talking to us about the importance of insurance. He's also going to talk about dispelling the myths as it relates and centered around insurance, because it is important. Granted, everybody may not need insurance, but most of us, most of us do. And so there's something that's going on that's causing our young people not to see the importance of getting insurance. And I'm so glad that Glenn Finley is here with me today. Glenn Finley comes with us from the Finley Group, and he's going to be talking to us, guys, about some very important things. And a lot of people don't like to talk about it because it makes them feel a little funky and a little eerie. But you know what? It is what it is. We're all born to die. At some point, we're going to leave this earth. And we want to make sure that when we do, that people that we leave behind, we don't leave hardship of us leaving on top of financial woes. That we don't want. So I'm so excited about bringing to the room today, Mr. Glenn Finley and Kevin. Kevin is his hype man. No.
Good morning.
him it is later on. But Glenn, listen, thank you for joining me to the Ladies Room Talk Show. So now the joke is, this was supposed to be pre-recorded. And I'm talking and I'm like, where are these people coming from that's joining the show? Oh my gosh, it's live. So yeah, hey, we're live. And so Kevin, you probably will get some questions live today.
For sure.
Be prepared. But Glenn, thank you for joining us here today. And I'm so glad that you're able to hang out with us. I'm sure today will probably be the longest time that you've ever spent in the ladies' room on purpose.
Yeah, probably. I'm trying to get our camera here set up,
Okay.
but yes, it absolutely. I was telling somebody this morning that I had to get off the phone with them because I was invited to the ladies' room, and I left it at that.
Oh gosh. Well, hopefully they're tuning in and they can kind of get the gist of the ladies' room. But you can always call back and say, man, I spent about an hour in the ladies' room.
That's right.
I don't know how that's going to end for you, Glenn, but hey, let me know.
Yeah.
So let's talk about insurance. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do, and tell us more about the Finley Group.
Okay, definitely excited to be able to do that. Again, am nobody special. I came out of the automobile industry. That's where I kind of got my career started as a young boy. I started in the industry when I was actually 18. And I had a family and all that. And I made my, I planted my feet in the automobile industry. And as time went on, I started realizing that I wanted to do something different. So I got into marketing and advertising, and I love that. And a good friend of mine had been asking me for years, since college. He said, Glenn, you need to get into the insurance business. You need to get in. And all I ever thought about was what most people think about, death, dying. I don't want to sell that. I don't want to market that. But as I got older, I started realizing how important that is. My parents instilled that in me. My mother, my father instilled that in me. I also have some outside family member that used to talk to me when I was in school about, make sure you got life insurance. Make sure you got life insurance. So I grew up. I think I started my life insurance policy when I was 29. It's when I got and I still have that same policy today, because I had a family and I knew that it was important, to do that. So to make a long story short, a few years ago, I got my license, encouraged by a friend of mine. And I went in it simply because I wanted to do business insurance, which was Aflac. That's what I initially got into the insurance industry to do. And as I started working with that, I started realizing that people were asking me, well, do you sell life insurance? Do you sell life insurance? I'm like, I do, but I'm not. Let me turn you on to somebody, because I just didn't know how I needed to talk about it. Then I started really studying it and looking at it, and now we have both, and I feel like I really can do people a major justice by the knowledge that I have acquired over the last 2.5 to 3 years on this topic, because it, like you said, it is definitely needed. And I'm not really understanding what's going on in our society. But if I can be a sounding board and helping people understand what this is all about, not dying, but income protection and building wealth, then I feel really, really good about what I'm doing.
Yeah. I when I think about certain things, sometimes when you're younger, you think that you're gonna live forever. It's just, dying is the last thing that you're thinking about. And really, to be honest, Glenn, I remember younger, I didn't want to talk about dying. I didn't want my parents talking to me about dying. I didn't want them telling me where all this stuff was, when I was younger. It's just to wrap my head around that when I was younger, it put me in a really odd space. And so, but as you're saying, as you get older, you realize that you have children and a family, that you just don't want to leave them in a very odd position. But I don't know what we can do about getting the younger people to see the importance of it, because I believe that God has satisfied us 70 plus years. That's what I believe. That's the Bible. That's the word. That's what I believe. But I also believe in preparation and having your things in order. So I don't know what to do. Now I'm talking to my kids about it. So my kids have it, they're 25, 26, 27. So they have beautiful jobs. And that was one of the things I said, look, make sure you get life insurance. And most jobs, good jobs are going to offer that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to make sure that they get it. So, in your line of work, Glenn, what percentage would you say that you see younger people between that age of 24, maybe once they graduate from college to about 35? Do you see a lot of that, or do you see kind of a deficit in that age bracket?
No, I see a deficit.
Okay.
I see a deficit. And I want to interject something because I'll forget it. But you mentioned having insurance on their jobs. Okay. That's great. That's fine. You want to own your own policy. You don't want to rely on a employer, excuse me, to provide that, because a lot of people don't realize that when you pay into that, if that employer leaves or you leave that employer, you're done. It's over.
Wow.
And a lot of people now don't stay with jobs long. So if you have insurance from your employer, that's fine. That's good. But you need to own something that you control.
Right.
Okay.
See and that's good information, because most don't know that. They think, okay, if I got it, I got it.
No, it goes away.
Right. So all the money that you use, and you can be on a job maybe for about 10 years. But if you leave that job after 10 years, that's it. You got to start all over with another.
And then you have to be re-rated, because the insurance, let me tell you about it. Here's the thing about insurance. The younger you are, the less expensive it is. That's why you want to get it at a very, very early age, because you can get several $100,000, millions of dollars worth of insurance and still only pay 2 digits a month. But if you go on a job, and let's say you're on that job for 10 or 15 years, and you say, well, okay, I have insurance with that job. Well, you're 15 years older. You may have some health issues, and you may not even qualify, because you can't just go buy insurance. You have to qualify for it.
So, Glenn, there's some insurances out there that I've heard of where, like, sometimes you see on the commercials and stuff. Oh, we don't check your health rate. We don't check your we don't pull records and all that. I mean, is that a myth, or is that possible?
No, that's true. I mean, I represent companies that we check your health rating, but there are some companies that will insure you, and you can be on your deathbed, but the premium, you might as well be paying a house note.
Wow.
Okay. Because the higher at risk that you are for that insurance company, the higher the premium is, and the lower the amount that you're going to get.
Gotcha.
They'll insure you. Okay. And a lot of stuff that you see on TV is what we call a bait and switch, meaning that you call in because of what it appeared to be, and it is. Okay, I'm not saying that they're lying, but that may be that premium may only last for a year, and then it goes up next year. It may only last 5 years, and then after that, then you're going to have this huge rate increase. Okay, and that's not how we want to do business.
Right. Exactly. So let's say, I think it's probably a question most would probably want to ask. Glenn, most people have had some form of COVID. I'm not saying everybody, but most people have had some form of COVID, which has caused what you want to call some post issues, health-wise. So if someone were in the middle of a job switch and they had to get insurance, would that come up? Would that be an issue?
It is a question that we ask, and I'll let Kelvin kind of talk a little bit about that as well.
Okay. Clear, I appreciate your time more than anything. So when it comes to people getting qualified for insurance, all our programs are non-medical. So what that means is there's no physical exams. They'll have to go to the doctor to get any tests done. On that actual application, you just answer the questions on there, either yes or no. It's just that simple. They do look at your prescription history. So when it comes down to it, us being brokers, the more information we have, the better chance we have of helping that client. And it's literally just that simple.
So are you saying we have to be honest?
Yes. Yeah, and I tell anything, it's not up to us to qualify the client. It's the insurance company. We're just the underwriter more than anything.
Okay.
The more information you give us, the better we can help that client. And that's our whole key, is just to look at their needs. That's what we do.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, Kelvin, for probably the last 5 or 6 years, I've been the same weight on my driver's license. And I know I'm not the only one doing that. It just looked good to me, you know. All right, well, you're gonna say something, Glenn.
No, I was just saying, going back to COVID, some insurance companies that we represent about 15 over here. Some companies will ask about COVID. Okay. It doesn't necessarily determine if you're going to get it or not. Some companies don't even ask. Okay. They just want to know, just like you said, some people do have some post-COVID issues, but it is asked now, if you currently have COVID and we're writing you, then it's not going to deny you, but we will have to go into a little bit more depth.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering about that, because most people, you know, have had it at some point. And some people are really dealing with some post issues along the way. Now, you mentioned something about AFLAC, right? Now, have they made some adjustments to accommodate people with post issues of COVID? I know, you know, when I used to hear about AFLAC back in the day, of course, COVID wasn't around here like it was now. So have they factored that into AFLAC services of what they cover?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. In 21, right after, during COVID, they came out with a policy called a rider. It's called a plus rider. And what it does is, if you have any of our policies, and you have this rider on top of, what I mean by rider, it's another policy that rides on top of your main policy. Okay. We would, if you got COVID, you would get from $1,250 up to $5,000 in the form of an additional check if you went into the hospital because of COVID. And it would have to start like 4 days after. So we added that. So that was definitely a plus for us.
I'm sure. So many people ran into so many issues about that with their jobs and things. It was just crazy. Yeah. So I'm glad to hear that that's an option, and I'm sure that you find more of an interest of people inquiring about that portion of AFLAC.
Yeah, we do. We can add that to any supplemental policy that we have. That we write, if it's if it's connected to an employer. But now we can actually in some policies I can write individuals. They don't have to even be connected to an employer.
Okay. Yeah. I got a question on the floor. It's a good question too. It's actually, Glenn, a question that when you and I were talking last week, the same question I had for you. So I'm glad this question is on the floor. Carlene has a question, and Carlene's question is, can you explain the difference between whole term and term life insurance, and is one better than the other? And that was something you and I discussed on last week.
Yeah, absolutely. That question comes up a lot. I learned this long time ago. When you think of whole, think of your whole life. Okay.
All
right. So that means that you get a policy and it's going to last until you die, or until age basically 120 years. Okay. That's a policy that started years and years ago. And I want to share this with you I want to interject this real quick, and I'm going to answer that question. But you know, a lot of people don't realize that during the Great Depression, whole life insurance is what kept a lot of people in business.
Wow.
McDonald's, J.C. Penney's, they would have went bankrupt, but they went to their whole life policies that they were dumping money in, and they borrowed money against that whole life policy so that they could continue with their business and their lifestyle. And today, these are multi-billion-dollar companies. But if it had not have been for whole life insurance companies, it would have been a different outcome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Carlene, the answer to your question.
Well,
Whole.
whole life. Now
Hey, hands down.
Right. Now,
Wow.
whole life insurance is more expensive than term.
Mhm.
Okay, term is for, again, a time period.
Mm.
Okay,
Mhm.
it's for a term. Okay, so let me kind of give you an example, Carlene. I don't know how old she is, but let's say she's super young and she has two kids that are 2 years old or 5 years old. This is when the children need her income the most as they're growing up.
Yeah.
So if something were to happen to her, okay, we live in a capitalistic society, they're going to need a bunch of money. And the person that's deemed to take care of those kids is going to need more money than what they're used to making. Because now they have two children that they have to take care of because Carlene is gone.
Mm.
Okay. Now, as they continue to get older, self-sufficient, get their own family, buy their own home, cars, things that her income, Carlene's income, is no longer as important as it was during the time that they were growing up. So that term policy was there for a time period. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. And it was the least expensive policy because it was a term policy. Term is less expensive than whole, but it's a great thing to have. We use it to protect people when they have a mortgage on their home. A lot of people don't realize that you need to have that, because if your spouse were to pass away, I mean, we can actually put a very inexpensive term policy on a $200,000 mortgage or a $250,000 mortgage or a $300,000 mortgage. It's inexpensive. It's for that term of that mortgage, 20, 15 year, 10 year, 15 year, 20 or 30 years. It's inexpensive. And we earmark that just in case the spouse passes away, that's the primary breadwinner or what have you, so that now that financial burden is now on the life insurance company and they're paying that house off so that people can continue to live and to not have to worry about, how am I going to make this mortgage payment each and every month and my spouse is gone.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay.
I like that. And like what Carlene was saying, this is really great information. And it's a lot of information that people just don't have. Now, the example that you just explained, is that something that you could partner with if someone has whole? Would there be a need to have that additional term to put on your mortgage?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah, we have people that do that. They have two policies.
Oh yeah.
Okay. One is earmarked for, and then the other thing is that some people, only have that for a shorter period of time, like 10 years, because they plan on paying that house off.
Right.
Or if they go longer, then, they choose that. And then we also can use whole life to protect the mortgage. Okay. Because not everybody needs to have that house totally paid off. Okay. I think I was talking to you the other day about, I talked to people. I did a seminar last month. And I was showing people how even if you are renting and you have a spouse, then let's buy a policy that covers that rent every month for the next 3 or 4 years until you get yourself together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that whole life policy or that term policy can protect that money that's needed each month for bills, things of that nature. It doesn't have to be a long term. It can be for 2 or 3 years until that person is getting themselves together. They may decide that, they want to move or whatever that they need to do. But you don't want to have a financial burden on you while you're dealing with a death. That's the last thing you want to be dealing with.
Yeah. And that's the last thing you want to leave your family with dealing with,
Right. Now, some people don't care about it. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have been in homes that say we don't care. We're gone. I've had to sit in front of people. I mean, can I be real? Can I just be real?
Please.
Okay. I've sat in people's homes and they go, I'm gone. And I pack my computer, I close my computer up, pull my cord out, and I'm like, I can't help it. Because insurance is a gift. It's a gift of love. It's not designed for us. That's designed for us if we use it in a method to grow income. But to buy insurance thinking about, well, I'm paying for something and I'm not seeing the benefit. No, you're not seeing the benefit. It's a gift. If you love somebody, if you love your children, you should have insurance. Okay. And going back to what we were talking about in the Bible, it says that as time goes on, people are going to be more lovers of themselves than anybody. That's why you see such a difficult situation now with our young kids, because many of our young kids don't understand the true meaning of love.
It's definitely selfish.
It's selfish.
I've heard people say, and I've heard some older people say this, I'm taking everything with me. I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're leaving it to the government. You're leaving it to, whomever, but you're not taking everything with you.
Exactly.
And I think, I'm just kind of thinking, guys, how do we get the 20-year-olds, the early 30-year-olds, how do we get them engaged? How do we draw them? And there are some things that both of you said today that I believe are good surefire ways to get them. Number one, that example you gave about McDonald's and in getting whole. I believe that if we can get the young people to buy into the concept and the importance of getting insurance, I think they'll go straight whole. I don't think they would even deal with term. I think they will go whole because of the benefits that come with it, regardless of the investment in it. Because you're telling me McDonald's is still here because they were able to go to their whole life insurance, and borrow against it. So I don't know what to do. Let me say this. I don't know what you're going to have to do, Glenn and Kelly, because I'm going to take it off me. I can just be, I will take it off me. But it's something's going to have to give so that we can educate them and kind of let them know what is out there and how it can benefit them. Maybe if they know it benefits them first, maybe they'll be more apt to get the whole. I don't know. But it's something's going to have to give. But I like the fact of the whole life insurance option, because really, to be honest, to get whole life insurance, although it costs more, it really doesn't in the end. Because if you need it for something, whatever you've invested, you're going to benefit from the investment, regardless if it's just a smidgen more, because term is term. I mean, it's not really, it's going to help you later if you die, check out of here. But I mean, to benefit you now, I believe whole is probably the better way to go, my opinion.
Look at it like this too, and I understand exactly what you're saying. Look at term this way, because each one does something. All right, let's just say, for instance, you had a 9-year-old child. Okay, I don't know if you do it now. Let's say you have a 9-year-old.
I know I look like I do, Glenn, but
And let's say, for instance, you had a $1 million policy now, and you were to pass away. And let's say your 9-year-old child's name was Kimberly. Kimberly, and let's say that you were only paying $75 a month for that $1 million policy. At your passing, Kimberly now becomes an instant millionaire.
Wow.
Okay, now that's the reason that you want to have term, because it's inexpensive for a large amount.
Gotcha.
Okay. And that's why I tell young people, get term insurance right now. It's super inexpensive if you have children. Now, if you don't have any children, that's something. If you plan on having children, get it. Okay. But if you have children, now you leave your children a legacy. You couldn't do that giving them $75 a month.
Right.
You put it in their bank account.
That's true.
Okay.
That's good.
Now you teach that same thing. That's how people like, I don't know if you ever heard of people like the Rockefellers.
Maybe.
Okay. People like that, they got where they are by leaving a legacy. And a majority of it was centered around life insurance. Because when people pass away, the reason that you see great granddaddy's picture over the fireplace,
Right.
not because you knew them or you loved them, you didn't know them. It's because they left you something.
Right.
They left you something. Okay. Term insurance is a great way to do that, putting in a small amount of money, where if you do pass during that time, you can leave a tremendous amount of money, millions.
So let me ask you this, Glenn. Is there ever a time where if you start off with term, can you take that and you decide you want to do whole? Can you push that into a whole life insurance policy, or you just have to close that out and start all over?
No, that's called a conversion. I'll let Kelvin tell you more about that, since he's kind of quiet.
No,
He's your hype man. He's like, oh yeah, that's good. That's good. Amen, Pastor.
This is really good stuff. And I'm 34 years old. And I have my wife and my children, and I've been in insurance now for 6 years. I used to be an RN before I did this full time. So to see, families in the situations they are without life insurance, even when I worked at the hospital, stuff like this is important just to educate people. That's why we're so big on this, just to educate people more than anything. Even if we don't help that family, they know what position they're in. So when that time comes, they know which way they need to go more than anything. But most insurance policies, you can convert it to a degree. Us being brokers, we got a lot of pull from a lot of places. So we have special products that a lot of other people don't have. Right. So when it comes to converting things, yes, you can do that by all means. So it really just depends on what those families' needs are. And that's what we do. When we sit down with people, we look just what their needs are. Just because Bob down the road has cancer, you shouldn't be paying the same thing he's paying. Right. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to that, yeah, it's very simple and straightforward. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So question. So there are people out there who have insurance on folks that they don't know people have insurance on them. Is that possible? Can you get insurance on somebody that you don't know? Yeah, you can just look at somebody and say, you know what? I can tell how you live.
To be honest, they do.
Yeah.
Now, even when Glenn heard me, when I help families, I do good business with good people. So at the end of the day, when I'm talking to someone about getting insurance on somebody else, I make them aware that they are getting it. I'm honest and I'm straightforward with people. But yes, you do have people that go out there and they get policies on their families. They have no idea they got it. And when God call them home, they file that claim. They're going to get that death benefit. It happens. It does. Just to answer
but you do have to pay. So I'll say, for example, I don't know if I should say this because this I didn't get permission from my mom, so I can't share. But what if like if that person dies, and their loved ones, take care of the burial and all this kind of stuff, and they're out of a certain amount of money because they didn't know this person had insurance. The person that has the policy, will they be responsible for the burial expenses?
So how that works is, and I educate this with everybody. Whenever you get a life insurance policy, you do not have to tell the funeral home how much you have. You do not have to do that.
Okay.
You just walk in there and say, I'm looking to bury my mom or my dad. I want to spend this amount of much money. You just do that, and that's it. So when it really comes down to it, Clarissa, when people have policies, and let's just say a family member paid everything with that funeral, didn't know that this other family had life insurance, essentially whoever that policy owns, that money, when they get that check in the mail, is going to be in their name. So only they can cash that check, essentially. So, when we help families out of good faith, they do what they need to do with that money. That's really important, because you have people like that, and I'm pretty sure you've seen that.
Yeah, there are some times that the insurance company will say, well, how much insurance do you have? And there's a reason that they ask that.
So they can kind of gauge them prices accordingly.
Mm-hmm. A funeral home is a business too.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Now, like I said, I'm honest with my clients. I am, and I want them to be put in the best position possible more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's go back to whole for a minute. So you had mentioned, guys, that McDonald's got into a situation they were able to kind of pull themselves back up by going into their whole insurance, life insurance policy, and to be able to sustain. How can, what does that look like? How can someone use their whole life insurance if they experience some type of financial hardship? How is that possible? And is it a time frame? Do you have to have it for a certain amount of time before you can do that? How does that work?
So literally, it's just all about how it's structured. And that's what we do as brokers to design that. So before we do anything, we educate them. We show them an illustration of how much they're paying into it. This is how much you'll have at this age. That's the most important thing. Because I think what happens is, it's things going around saying, I can be my own banker when it comes to having whole life policies, which is true to a degree.
Right.
But at the same time, when we sit down with people, we make sure they know this is what this is. This is what this is. That's really important to that. It is.
And some people don't even use it, Clarissa, for hard times. You can have, if it's structured properly, you get it at a certain age, you can finance a house with the money that you have in your insurance policy, and it be lower than what the interest rates are now.
Wow. You know what? That is going to benefit a lot of people with whole life insurance within these next couple of years, because I've been kind of watching some things that's going on with those interest rates. So from what I've been told is that within the next 5 years, the interest rate would have jumped up to 30%, which means every 5 years is going to increase 5%. Right. And so at some point, it's just not going to be wise to purchase a house because the interest is going to be so high. But if you have your whole life insurance intact, that's a good way to get around that during these interesting times that we have coming ahead. That actually, Glenn and Kevin, that may be something that you may want to talk to your whole life insurance policy holders, especially those who are in those good positions and want to buy homes within these next couple of years. And if they're looking for a home, that might be their recourse, because as I'm seeing it right now, they're projecting that if you want to get maybe residential or commercial type investments, it's good to do it now and next year, because after those 2 years, the interest rate is just not going to be favorable from what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Well, I know the interest rates are higher now than they were, I think 2021, because they just increased interest rates again.
Wasn't it earlier part of this year?
No, this was 2 days ago.
Okay. Oh my goodness, I missed that one.
Yeah. Interest rates were the Federal Reserve increased it again. I think it was Thursday.
What was the increase on it? Do you remember?
I don't know what it was, but
Okay.
it's gonna be just like what you're saying. Things are getting more expensive, and the good thing about a whole life policy is that over the years, it's always your payback has been what, about 4%?
Yeah, I'll say about
about 4%.
That's good.
And it's been like that for years, where you borrow against it. Okay, you only have to pay about 4% interest on that.
Wow.
And see, the benefit of having the whole life policy, Clarissa, is that
Mm-hmm.
you're paying yourself back.
Right.
You're not paying the bank back.
Right.
That's the key. When you hear of infinite banking, become your own banker, that's how we design those policies to do that for people. And it's so beneficial, if they sit down and just, learn about it.
Yeah, I will say this as we're going along, because I'm starting to broaden my way of thinking as it relates to currency and how we have been used to operating under the current format of currency. As we're continue to go along, the way we know money transactions are going to be totally different. Totally different. And if we're stuck in that old mindset, we're not going to be able to really function very, very far. And I'll give you case in point. I took cash with me probably about a couple of months ago. I went to Atlanta and met my other family. We just kind of hung out there. And I said, I'm just going to set this aside as my budget so I won't go and just overspend. This will be my budget. So I took the cash with me. I couldn't pay the people to accept my cash. I couldn't pay them to accept my cash.
Right.
Because nowhere in Georgia were they accepting cash money.
Right.
Nowhere.
Right.
Wow.
Nowhere. Not the malls, restaurants, parking decks, nowhere. They were not accepting cash money. And I never thought I would, experience that, but that's where we are right now. So, guys, what you're saying, we definitely need to take heed of these opportunities where what we have in our home right now can work for us. You have whole insurance, it can work for you. You have life insurance, it can work for you. In the life, not life insurance, the term can work for you. There's so many things that both of you have shared here today that can be so beneficial to us, especially with where we're headed.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I know people that don't like to watch the news. They don't want to look at the news because it's doom and gloom, and it's always these things that are happening. But as it's interwoven into this news, we're also learning about where we're headed with our government, where we're headed with financial currency, where we're headed with the stock market. Those things are important too. And so we have to really start being more aggressive about getting out of our box and really looking and seeing what's going on. And, we can start with this insurance. I was so excited when I found out that you guys were going to be on the show, because it's going to help so many people if they are just be willing to open up their eyes and open up their ears to see and to hear these opportunities that are hidden in life insurance. I'm saying hidden from an ignorant point of view, meaning that people just look at insurance. Okay, that's going to pay for me when I die. So actually a statement, this is my brother in South Carolina. He said, that's why life insurance is called life insurance and not death insurance.
Right. That's right.
So
That's
true.
exactly.
Y'all need to hire him for y'all slogan.
And what you mentioned something a few minutes ago about when you were going to Georgia and you weren't able to use your cash, right? Well, a lot of people think that started with COVID. Remember when COVID and they said, don't touch money because you can get germ. No, a lot of people don't realize what we are programmed prior to, before something really hits. We will be in a cashless society, and it's not going to be because of a germ.
Right.
Okay. It's not going to be because of COVID.
Wow.
All right. That got us in practice, but that wasn't a reason.
And that's why we really have to pay attention. This term was so popular a couple of years ago, stay woke. And then it kind of went out like fashion and clothes. Yeah. But I promise you, that stay woke will never go out of style.
That's right.
Because we have to be mindful. And it's not just on a black and white thing. We got to stay woke with what's going on around us in society, and how this country is going to be running going forward.
That's
You know,
right.
and when I think about financial institutions and that sort of thing, Glenn, you have an opportunity that you have, and I want to have another show where we can just really dive into that too. But you have something that you have going on with the Finley Group that I think is just is beautiful. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I definitely appreciate it. We are always looking for additional methods and progressive methods to help the community, and thankfully, I'm connected to some key people across the country that introduced me to Finmo banking. But to make a long story short, we have just introduced the ability for us to represent some minority banks. We can actually issue you your own bank account through our company. It's not us, but we can do that.
Right.
And it comes with a debit card, and there's no credit check or anything. But it comes with a debit card that allows you to do dollar for dollar rewards. Now, I know a lot of people use rewards on their credit card, like their Capital One,
Right.
American Express, to get all these frequent flyer miles and things of that nature, which is fine and well. But there's no debit card out here that gives you dollar for dollar rewards. We have a mall that will be opening up in November. When I say we, the companies that we deal with,
Right.
and they're gonna have it's gonna almost look like Amazon.
Okay,
And
wait a minute now, Glenn. You're gonna have shoes on this mall.
oh, we're gonna have some shoes that you would love.
Okay, just checking. Go ahead.
But like right now, and I'm gonna pull my debit card out of my wallet.
Okay.
I have a bank that I've always used, and I still use them, and for transactions. And when I found out about this, it was a no brainer. But this card we issue is called a Transact card. We issue this, and it's connected to. Oh, excuse me, forgot I'm on TV. We're connected to several minority banks, and it's kind of like a transfer of wealth. Because a lot of the minority banks are a lot more lenient on doing loans, but some of these banks that we're connected with would have never known you if you hadn't have gotten this card. Well, let me tell you the benefit of the card. Number one, there's no monthly fees. Well, at least for now, up until November. It's $25 to get it, but every time you use this card, let's say, for instance, you go to the service station and you pump $50 worth of gas, we give you 50 Z bucks. Okay, now what is a Z buck? A Z buck is a dollar inside of our e-commerce system that we have. Okay, and when you swipe that 50, you get 50 Z bucks that you can buy some shoes with, Clarissa.
Yes. I can get my shoes.
All right.
And I can get my gas at the same time. So I'll look good getting out of the car, pumping the gas.
That's right. That's right. But it was designed by some fantastic people. This has been going on for roughly about 3 years. It's been in the making. We launched this in November. You're able to get your Transact card now. And again, some of the people behind this would be, I'm just gonna, Barack Obama, Donald Trump. Some people may not like those individuals,
right?
But they're using this to fund some things. LeBron James, he is going to have his own Transact white label. Lady Gaga, from what I understand, she's going to be giving away Transact cards connected to our bank, so that what it's doing is it's powering your dollar. It's getting your dollar to stretch a lot further than it does now, because when you use your debit card now, you don't get nothing but a receipt.
That's right.
Okay. Where this card is my primary card now, because every time I swipe, I get two Z bucks now up until November, but normally it's going to be $1 for $1. So there's a website that you can kind of check it out. We've put some things on there if you want to find out more about it. But it's going to be the new way of banking.
Wow. I'm loving it already. I like the fact those rewards. I like that now. I like it. And the fact that it's associated with its own store.
Yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah.
I like it. And I'll tell you, my goal is to have you come back in the ladies' room, since it looks like you guys are pretty comfortable in the ladies' room. You still got your throat and everything. You still, you still good.
That's
And
right.
you've been in the ladies' room almost an hour now.
That's
and
right.
You're still good.
That's
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
So I want to bring you guys back because I want to talk more about this, the banking part of it. And then something, Kevin, that you said earlier about us being our own banking institution. I like the thought of that. I like the thought of being able to control my money and to be able to tell it what to do, where to go, how to be spent, and what it needs to bring back to me.
Right.
We as believers need to have that. See, that's where our faith is connected with this thing. Because if I speak a thing, so it is so. So
Right.
if I speak where I want it to go and how much I want it to bring back, to be able to actually have that control as well, tangibly, I think it empowers people. It empowers
Absolutely.
people about their money.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
so I like it. I like it. I like what I'm hearing. So hopefully we can talk about this a little bit more on another show, or maybe I have another idea in my mind that I think I want to do, and we'll talk about that offline. But I think it's going to be great for the viewers, and I think that they will really benefit from it. So, guys, listen, before we end the show tonight, what I typically do is have our guests to come front and center. I'll kind of jump off the screen for a minute and let you guys talk. And so each one of you, if you can give the listening audience maybe some hope, maybe some encouragement as it relates to insurance, as it relates to the banking portion of it, just kind of encourage them on a broadening their scope, or, whatever you feel so inspired to say to the listening audience. You can take a brief moment, each one of you, and you can share with them today.
Okay. Well, first of all, I definitely appreciate you allowing us to be on here. This is fabulous. It's amazing. I would encourage people, number one, to learn more about this topic. Do your due diligence. I would say go to YouTube. There's some great stuff on YouTube. There's, and then get with someone that you trust. You don't have an agent, get with someone and bounce some things off of them. If you do, if you don't, then you're welcome to get in touch with us. But there's some things that I would encourage you to do. There's some great opportunities for individuals that would like to even look at working in this space, because the sky's the limit. You'll never be unemployed, I tell you that. But I definitely do your due diligence, check things out. If you have a financial planner, get with them, bounce some things off of them, and see if what we're saying is the same thing that they're saying. And but at the end of the day, if you read the Bible, it tells you really what you need to do with your money and how you should do it, because it says that you should leave your children's children an inheritance. It doesn't say leave your children an inheritance. It says leave your children's children an inheritance. And this is a great way to do that. So I'll let Kelvin kind of close that.
Definitely. Well, we appreciate y'all taking time out just to listen to us. My grandma told me something a long time ago before God called her home. A closed mouth doesn't get fed. So when it comes to learning about insurance, get outside your comfort zone and just take time out to learn about it. It's really beneficial to learn about little small stuff like this, because this is how generational wealth is built. And you're not going to have someone come knock on your door and explain all this stuff to you guys. So we appreciate you just taking time out just to listen, because that's how I got into this as well, too, just from having an open mind and an open heart, but we really appreciate it, everything y'all do. So thank y'all.
Absolutely.
All right, some good words to live by. I love it. It's funny because Glenn is so humble. He was like, well, whoever you feel comfortable talking to, they feel comfortable coming to Finley Group, period, point blank. Now that's it. So they come to talk to you too to get more answers, because you share some things. You've proven that you're trustworthy, because that's big when you're going with insurance companies and brokers. And sometimes they're not not as trustworthy. So you guys have proven that today. And so it's my desire that our listening audience will share this. Number one, listen, guys, this live can benefit so many people, including you. But there are people on your timeline. I got folks on my timeline, 20, 21, and on up, that can benefit from the information here. And so those of you out there who have whole life insurance, there's some other things I'm sure you've learned today that you need to share with your network of friends. Also, those who have term, same thing. You need to share this network with your group of friends on Facebook. Take the link to send out text messages, because guys, listen, this information today about insurance and being your own bank and learning more about this debit card child is out here, and you get these shoes and pump some gas at the same time. You need to know what's going on. So right. share, guys. And those of you who are on YouTube, hit like and hit subscribe so you can get more information about what happens inside the Ladiez Room Talk Show. So Glenn, Kevin, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It was a blessing. Thank you guys, it was a game changer today for sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate you, Clarissa.
All right. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful, great, and safe weekend, and stay the course. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Step into the ladies' room with Clarissa.